there are a high number of low-income families that are living on the margins, right? Paycheck to paycheck. And so these are the communities that I work in, low-income minority communities. And from a equity resilience perspective, what you want to do is to create more resilience in these communities, to provide them with resources, skills, the ability for social mobility, economic mobility, so that if some shock to the system were to happen, say an economic recession, or even a natural disaster, right? A fire comes through or a hurricane comes through, that they can bounce back from these shocks to the system. One of the most rewarding projects that I had was my In the Shadows of Ferguson project, and it's a multimedia performing arts project. And my goal of that was to speak to a broader audience about really complex issues such as structural racism, such as institutional racism within the housing market. I think I can talk about these things and people sort of glaze over, and I've done this for decades, right? And I said, okay, I need another medium, another way to show people what the human impacts of these policies are. And so I set forth with this idea of creating a live production. I think I was really naive because I have never done this before. Not knowing how hard it was actually, I think, benefited me in the end, because once I hit a wall, like, for example, I was having a hard time writing the script, right, for the show. And so then I brought in an artist to help me with the script. And then I was thinking about the actors, and we were sort of brainstorming about, what the monologues would be. And I said, well, why don't we just ask the actors to write their own monologues, right? And they did. We collaborated with them on writing the monologues. And so it was a lot of figuring out where my limits were, and then finding collaborators that could really enhance the live production. After our performance, it was a black box studio performance that really told this story about a 100-year history of housing and urban policy that has shaped segregation and inequality. We had a panel discussion afterwards with the community who, there were in the audience over 100 people, and brought out the actors and the artists and the director and me, the producer, and we answered questions that the audience had. And the questions were so simple, but yet so powerful. So one of the questions was, how did I not know this history? I've lived in the US for 55 years. I'm an educated person. I've benefited from all of these racist housing policies. I live in the suburbs. How did I not know my history? Why is this not taught in school? The lack of exposure to diversity really creates this us against them mentality. And that's where we get a lot of social conflict. It's a lot of misunderstanding and mistrust.